What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Quality Talks podcast. You're in for a treat today. We've got an unplugged episode, and we've got a special guest joining us in a moment who I'll introduce. But first of all, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's been listening, subscribing, commenting, sharing your feedback on all the content that we've been dropping. You know, it's been great to see. Obviously, we've been dropping more blog posts as well, and you can catch up with more additional content over on the website of qualitytalks.co.uk, where we've got some shared content for public speaking. So you'll see some videos on there that are going up as well, separate to the podcast, but also, you know, it's just more content for you to get your teeth into. So yeah, lots more to come. So I'm going to introduce our guest. Our guest is somebody that I met at the National Software Testing Conference a couple of weeks ago. And we actually, in the episode with me and Eamon, where we were recapping, Eamon was really hyped up about this talk that our guest gave. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the talk because I was running a workshop at the same time. But since then, we've had a chat. And I'm really, really intrigued to see where this conversation goes today. Our special guest is Arif. He's from FX Digital. Welcome, Arif.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for having me here, Stu. Great to be here. I'm Arif. I'm the head of QA at FX Digital. I've been with the company for about 4.5 years now, and Stu, it was great to see you at the software testing conference. But yeah, a bit of a shame. I think we had a clash. Like you were doing a workshop, I was doing a talk, and then I had a workshop straight after your talk as well. So we kind of missed each other. But I think we did attend a workshop together. The very first one.
We did.
I think it was with what's his name? Luke, was it?
It was Luke. Yeah.
University of Wolverhampton.
Yes.
I studied there as well. So
small world. Small world.
Yeah, that was great to see. I'm from Birmingham, actually. So yeah, I moved down to London a couple of years ago, actually, and yeah, I've been around here since. That was a great talk, actually. That workshop from Luke, that was one.
Yes,
that stuck with me for a while.
It was. It just sort of opened your mind a little bit in terms of how we can measure quality and visualize it with dashboards and stuff like that. So yeah, that was really cool. And I'll look to get Luke on actually at some point. I'd say to him, bring him on to chat more about what they're doing, and because it's hard, right, to visualize how you measure quality as a thing, really. It's and there's so many different ways we can try and look at it and stuff like that. So we definitely want to maybe bring Luke on at some point. But today isn't about Luke. Today's about you, Arif. Right? Today's all about you. And we caught up, didn't we, recently to chat about you coming on, and we had such a laugh. We were just, we haven't really spoken much in the past, but we connected straight away. We had such a laugh. And I'm so intrigued about the world that you work in with FX Digital, and you can go into a little bit more about that in a moment. But how this came about was, obviously, we did the recap episode, me and Eamon, a few weeks back, and Eamon was really hyped about your talk, right? Because I'll let you talk more about FX Digital, but it's the area in which you work is sort of smart TVs and that in that space, and this isn't something that you hear a lot about, right? This isn't something that every day somebody's talking about. How do we test smart TVs? How do we do this? No. So I'm really intrigued, right, to understand more about your world and what goes on, and specifically like the challenges you faced and the journey you've been on to where you are today. And yes, that's why I wanted to bring you on and just talk more, right? Selfish reasons, really, people. I'm not really bothered about whether, you wanted Arif to come on or not. I did, right? So that's what matters to me. Yeah. So, but I'm sure everybody will love it, right? Because it is a really interesting area that, as I say, we don't really talk much about. So, Arif, do you just want to sort of talk a bit more about, FX Digital, what you do, and then we'll just roll from there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, big shout out to Eamon as well. I was finally glad to meet him because I've heard his name so many times. And yeah, what a great guy he is. But yeah, I've been involved in software testing for like about 10 years now. Started off with video games, and then your traditional sort of web-based applications, and even mobile phone as well. So like automating on phones. But this is the space I'm in now, the connected TV world, CTV.
Connected TV. See, I've never even
Yes.
heard of it referred to as like that. See, I've learned something already. Connected TV.
Yeah, absolutely. So what connected TV is it's a device that is a television that is connected to the internet. It's quite straightforward, but that derives different sort of capabilities. We now have the power to stream things much more easily. It's gone are the linear days, right, of watching just BBC One, ITV. Those were, you only had the 4 or 5 channels, right? It's now a completely different world.
Now, for those people that maybe aren't old enough to know, we used to only have 4 or 5 channels, right? And before that, there was even less, right? So just think about the world then. Oh my God, you actually had to go outside.
Yeah, absolutely. You had no option to record anything, so you had to tune in. At the time, it was
you couldn't pause. You couldn't pause the TV. My daughter would have a fit. She would.
Absolutely. We live in a world of on demand. People want things and they want it now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a very interesting world. This where we are. To be honest, this has been the most challenging in terms of software testing for me. One, like you mentioned, we are a niche. Not a lot of people know what goes behind like what happens with testing in televisions. But it's a relatable niche. Everybody has a TV, right? And everybody's connected to the internet now.
Yep.
So I don't think a lot of people think about what went on, when they're streaming something from one of their favorite, Netflix or iPlayer or anything. They probably don't realize some of the stuff that's some of the challenges in the back end that we've had to deal with. But yeah, connected TVs, they're everywhere. Everyone has either a TV or a smart TV, or one of these sticks that you can connect in to make your TV into something that can now be capable of streaming content.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, the TVs themselves that people have purchased. This is something I asked at the conference as well during my talk. It was a nice little integration with the audience as well, so they could scan a QR code and answer a question. And the question was, when was the last time you updated your main television in the house? And there's a couple of responses there, and not surprisingly, the majority of the people hadn't upgraded their TVs in more than 4 years. And if you think about what is on the market at the moment, every year a brand new model of a television comes out, which has new features, new software, and the older versions are no longer actually supported by the manufacturers. So, for example, Samsung and LG, when they release a new TV, they kind of leave that version to what it is capable of at that time and space. But the technologies for streaming tend to continue to improve. And one of our challenges is knowing that customers are still on these legacy devices. How do we get our current application with all its, goodies and fancy stuff compatible for such an old device that is kind of like a potato, basically? So yeah.
Well, I think it's because when we spoke beforehand, I mentioned about the TV that my daughter now uses, which is one of the original Samsung LED TVs. The picture on it is insanely good still. Actually, it's better than the one that I've got, which is a QLED.
Wow.
And I still think the picture's better, right? It was one of the very first Samsung LEDs. But obviously, none of the apps work on it. It's not supported. It hasn't had an update. So, of course, she uses a Fire Stick and stuff like that. But it serves its purpose because we've got these other plug and play capabilities. I get the benefits of the amazing screen, amazing quality of picture, and not have to worry about the app's not working because I can just plug something into it now, right? And so you have a real mishmash of things I'm guessing you have to contend with there, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's not like mobile phones where it's just iOS and Android, right? The two main competitors now. We have a whole world here.
Mm,
There's definitely like I believe over 15, maybe in the UK.
mm,
And we're not even talking about the US market here or Europe. They have weird and wonderful devices as well. But each of these manufacturers have their own operating systems, their own requirements as well, which I find very challenging. So, one manufacturer will say, "We want your app to load within 15 seconds," and somebody else will say, "No, it needs to load within 10 seconds."
right.
From like a cold start. And now we're
Yeah.
like, oh, we don't want to be creating so many separate apps. How do we get the one code base to be compatible with all these? And what is the best route we have to take for what we call it is parity across all these devices. Um, so yeah, again, just touching on some of the
Yes.
challenges we are encountering, but I'm sure we'll end up
We
diving
will.
into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, with connected TVs, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the linear TV audience is it's kind of disappearing actually.
Mm,
Um, Especially the newer generation, they are all into streaming content. Amazon Fire Stick is a very popular device, and for the reason you said, Stu, like it's so much easier to just stick that into any TV and make that TV essentially into a smart TV. And the Fire Stick is great. I really, really like that device. To be fair, one of my favorites to work with. To be fair, yeah,
mm.
yeah. But there's more to just having streaming and on-demand capabilities. From a client perspective, they now have the power to do targeted ads, right? They can see what sort of content you're watching now that
Yes.
you're connected to the internet. So your adverts that you see are more relatable,
Yeah.
and they can also now measure the engagement of adverts. So if you click on an advert, they know that data, right? This is a popular piece of advertisement or product or whatever it is they're trying to advertise. They can now really get those engagements, which was not really possible with the linear. We would see adverts, but how much of the adverts is converting into real sales, that was quite hard to tell. But now with the connected TV, yeah, it's possible. It's a crazy
It's
world we live in.
well,
Yeah,
I think if you think about it in terms of, and I mean, I've never really thought about it like this, but as you're talking there, you yeah, we've got our laptops and stuff like that, but actually, mobile phones and TVs are probably the two devices that we use the most that are connected to the internet all the time, right? And you don't actually your mobile obviously, right, because you're always on there and you always know that it's connected, but your TVs, I mean, generally you just forget that it's connected. You forget actually you can do the same sort of things like this targeted ads, and stuff like that. And it's actually, it's mind-blowing to me that thinking about the sort of the levels of complexity that start building up on through that, um and actually then having to be able to support all the different types of TVs, the different OSs, because there's different OSs on TVs as well, right? And
absolutely. Yeah.
it's like it's not just one OS. There's more than one OS as well. Like, so is this why and how FX Digital sort of came about then? Originally, was it around this to help solve this complexity?
Yeah, well, actually, FX Digital, I think they were established in around 2011 or 2012,
Hmm.
and it was two best friends, Matthew Dewig and Tom Smith. Give them a follow on LinkedIn if you're around.
Yep.
They're always sharing
Shout
really
out to
really
Matthew and
nice
Tom.
insights. Yeah, yeah,
Shout out.
nice. And yeah, two friends. They started the business, and it was just a small company. I think they were doing everything. They were doing a bit of everything. So they're trying to find what it is FX stands for. So they were involved in web apps, WordPress websites as well back then,
Wow.
right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a big thing. Do
WordPress.
you remember the voice devices? So Google Home, Amazon Echo is still around, right?
Yes.
They started developing for those devices as well initially, and then it was I think just before like I think 2019, before like COVID and stuff, they decided we need to narrow this down to something we're good at and something we specialize in, and that's where the idea of being the connected TV experts kind of sprung up from there. And this is what we're going to focus on. This is going to be our niche. This is going to be our unique area that makes us different to other software companies out there. And they've just got onto that roller coaster and just carried on. And the team's been growing. The whole company's been growing. We opened up a branch in Barcelona last year, which is growing out. So that's our hub in Europe. We're thinking even future as well, expansion. We're getting popular basically, which is great for us. People know what we do and how important it is. The clients we have range from quite a different range of sports, motorsports, entertainment, just streaming in general. We've worked with some really good, really big names, to be fair, and it's just going bigger. So there is definitely a need for this. I think, we are doing something right in that sense. And it's great to see how the company has expanded, and since the company has started going into this direction, we've had to nail down a couple of things like our core values and our mission statement and stuff, what we stand for as a company. And that whole journey has been fantastic, and I've seen it happen in the time I've been here, but I kind of wish I was here earlier so I could see that whole thing happening. But we've looked at other companies like Netflix, Coca-Cola, for example, and taken in what's worked for them and see how we can adopt it to the software world. And we have 4 core values that I think are really great. So we have stay curious, be real, deliver impact. The one I feel especially with quality, I think we can relate to that one the most. Deliver impact, so everything we do hits hard. And then nurture togetherness, so that teamwork between all team members. So I think they're really good values. Be real and deliver impact are the 2 that really stand out to me. Be real, to be just honest with feedback. There's no need to be shy. Be able to take criticism, grow in that sense. I think it's fantastic, and I've seen it with my time here. And the industry as well is growing, the whole connected TV world, and that's what we got to be real and adapt to, right? And then what we want to do is deliver that impact. So it always goes back to these core values of ours. I think it's instilled in my blood now.
But it's really important, right? It gives everybody something to connect to, but also to connect to each other with as well, right? It's like, and I look at this when we're looking to build cultures of quality and things like that. So what are our quality values, and help people sort of connect into them as well. So you've got your company values, but how do your quality values connect into your company values, and almost like thinking about how they layer, because there's no point in having separate values, a set over here and a set over here. No, they've got to all connect, haven't they? But I find
absolutely.
But sometimes values can be really just wishy-washy and just a bit like meh, but these seem like sensible, values that people can get behind, and also help nurture and drive the company forward with, right?
That's the idea, and something big here at FX is the team culture, and this is no doubt thanks to the people team that we have, the HR team, but it is a group effort, it is a team effort, so everyone does need to contribute to keep this culture the way it is. We do push each other just to be the best that we can, be better. Again, going back to that, be real, right? And then we tend to have a lot of honest conversations, just be brave, and I think all this actually comes from leadership, and it comes from top down. So the leadership, they're open about everything that's going on with the business, just so we know where the company is, what the plan is going forward. And I haven't seen that in any other company I've worked with, to be fair. You always have the leadership team in a separate room doing their own thing. We have a day-to-day job to do, but this time I feel like everyone on the in the company is getting involved in decisions and what's going on in the big picture. And this also instills into quality as well. The quality at FX is driven from top down.
Nice.
So if Matt and Tom weren't behind the stuff we're doing, automation, the device lab, and we'll dive into it. Yeah, I don't think none of this would happen, to be fair. And again, that's all thanks to the company culture. I think all of FX now recognize how important QA is, or quality in general, throughout the whole process. And we've heard people like Simon Pryor talk about this, right, at the conference. Definitely get behind that. But it's really great to see that FX is trying to do this and actually making it happen. So we're in a very unique space.
Yeah, and I just wanted to pick up on one point you made there before we move on. The connection with the clients. So you're saying about the feedback you get from the clients. You hear that feedback. And that's a great sort of way to help you continuously improve, right? You've got that connection with the clients. You understand what works well for them, what doesn't work well for them. You then take that into the day-to-day of what you do, versus never really understanding it. You just get it fed, kind of like almost second, third, fourth hand by somebody going, oh yeah, there's a problem. Well, it's great to hear it directly from the clients themselves, right? And that's really important. Customer feedback is one of the highest measures of quality you can get, so being able to get that is so important, and often you struggle to get that in a lot of organizations because you don't really feel necessarily connected to the customer in that way. So that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's great to have such a feedback as well, especially for the team. It keeps them engaged. So if they are doing something well, they know it's working. But if they're not, even the junior members on the team, they can take that into account, right? That we need to change things up. This isn't working out for us. So yeah,
nice.
I think it's great.
Nice, yeah. How is the quality team set up? Because you mentioned there, obviously, it's been driven from the top down, which is amazing. But in terms of a team of people, of which you're one of the leaders of that space, how is that team set up in FX Digital?
Yeah, very very interesting question, Stu. Actually, we do have disciplines in all sort of areas, you can say, of software development here at FX. So we have designers, we have people in product, developers, QAs, and also we have QE as well, quality engineering. So we actually have two separate teams. So I'm the head of QA. We have Martin Tyler, great guy as well.
Shout out
very
to Martin.
Technical. Amazing. Yeah. Martin's fantastic. Very, very technical. He had this vision basically. So Martin used to be a part of the QA team, but he wanted to scale things up. He was saying basically some of the challenges we've had in QA were, actually, let me take a step back. Sorry. So QA are the difference between QA and QE is that QA are more client delivery focused, whereas quality engineering are more the guys that embed quality into our testing process. So you can say QE are QA's customers in a sense.
Yeah.
So they're helping us out. But yeah, QE don't really get involved directly with the client delivery projects. They're more the framework and the establishment in the back end to make sure things are running smoothly for better quality processes.
So are they more like enablement in the background to some degree? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're very technical, and yeah, it's a very interesting space to have two separate teams. So QEs are the ones that have, put the device lab that we have, set up the automation for QAs to run test cases and keep things going. The way I see it is QE are kind of like DevOps are for devs.
Like platform engineering, that kind of thing.
Yeah. QAs get their hands on the projects, similar to devs, but then the DevOps are doing the stuff in the back end to make sure things are running smooth for our processes to run.
Nice.
Going forward. I like to think of it as a balance between prevention, and detection. So QAs are the ones that can like detect issues that perhaps slip through, whereas QE are the ones that help prevent issues in the long run through things like automation and their approaches. So it helps with efficiency going forward. It's an interesting structure, different to a lot of companies having two separate teams. I know a lot of people do try and advocate that QA should just be engineers as well, which I do agree. Like, I don't think anything's wrong with that. But in our space, in the connected TV world, there is still a lot of emphasis on manual testing.
Yes,
and that's because these experiences that we're having with connected TVs are, about playback, about the end sort of result. So you want to make sure the video is playing smoothly, audio is in sync. So there's still a lot of manual effort. Things like animations as well, right? When you're scrolling through content, you want it to be smooth. Our favorite buffering spinner as well, right? We don't want to see that from a user perspective, but it can happen. And there is still a big emphasis on the manual testing side when it comes to
And look, I mean, you mentioned there that people advocate for it being like one team of engineers and stuff like that, but I'm a believer in it needs to work for you, right? It needs to work for you as an organization. And we've become very telly about, it should be this, it should be. Well, no, it doesn't need to be, right? Whatever works to produce quality product at the end of the day, or a quality experience for your clients and customers, that's what matters. So if you've split in this way for valid reasons, then great, right? It doesn't matter. And this is why I think we need to delve into these different areas more around different sort of industries and stuff like that, to see how different companies are doing things for valid reasons, for specific reasons, versus just getting the normal, that's good, that's bad, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. No, we need to be open-minded and figure out what works best for us, and literally like get the toolkit out, right? What tools work the best across everything, right? That's how we set ourselves up with teams, that whatever tooling we're using, whatever it looks like. So that's I mean, I think that's really cool that you've kind of positioned it in a way that actually almost like DevOps, platform engineering, do that sort of technical enablement, and then the QA team are there to sort of find the issues and prevention versus detection, that kind of thing. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. I think with the connected TV devices as well, like I mentioned, there are so many different ones, right? A lot of them have taken some time for the QE to understand how we can make this easier for QAs going forward. So like, how can we automate on said device? Because once again, a lot of these devices, they are very restricted as well. So you don't have access to the dev tools straight out the box. Sometimes we might need to reverse engineer our approach to using said devices as well. So you've heard of like the Freeview boxes and stuff that are available.
Yes.
Yeah, they're quite popular in the UK. They use infrared blasters for their remotes, and I remember the QE team were thinking like, we can't connect directly to one of these devices because there's no dev tools. How do we automate on such a device? So I remember one of the QE engineers, Taha, great guy again, very, very, very smart individual. He created an Arduino board with an infrared receiver on it, and he was blasting the codes from the remote and capturing this really, really long string. I don't know what it was supposed to represent, but he managed to convert that string into a key press. So in our test case now, as part of automation, when we say, press this button, it will now do all these checks in the back end, like, okay, what device are you running it on? Okay, this is the signal. This is the string I need to send. Let's send this through the IR blaster we have directly to the device. So this is something else as well. We try and test on real devices
Yeah.
where possible. We try and avoid like simulators and stuff.
That was going to be one of my
But
questions, actually, but yeah, I
yeah,
wondered if that
yeah,
was the case.
we'll come to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's loads to talk about.
No, I know.
Um,
This is going to be a
yeah.
3-hour episode, people, by the way. I just forgot to mention that. No.
No, so yeah, yeah. The QB guys, they were able to reverse engineer this box basically and allow
Yeah.
us to, actually send key commands via our test cases. And of course, we don't want to be creating separate test cases for each of these devices, right? So again, going back to parity, parity for these fragmented devices. That's another word we're always throwing around. So
Yes.
yeah, we have so many devices. We call it device fragmentation. Yeah, we've managed to figure out a way for something that works across the board, basically. But there are always new and wonderful devices coming into the market. So the QE team are always thinking, what's next, right? Like, how do we make this work? What if a client comes to us and says they want their app on this? How do we do this? So yeah, lots to think about for the QE team as well.
And just on that, in terms of, because when if we think about mobile phones, and you mentioned there you don't use simulators, it is all physical devices and stuff like that, for obvious reasons. You think about mobile phones, there's different versions. There's a number of versions back, and even like on laptops and that, you have different OSs and different browsers and different number of versions of said browser and yada yada yada. On the TVs, you mentioned earlier about, if Samsung releases a new TV this year, they'll basically not worry about supporting the one that came before it. How do you decide then how and which devices and which sort of, which devices that you have to support? Is that client driven, or is it something that you as a team have to figure out, or have a process or a procedure in place that sort of says, right, actually, we know we need to support X number of devices, blah, 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 blah?
Yeah, great question. Actually, yeah, this is why we call ourselves the experts, right?
Well, that's why you're on the show, Arif. We only get the experts on this show. And then there's me.
No. So yeah, it's a mix actually. So we do try and take the clients, feedback and what they want to target, but then we give our advice based on our experience as to what's worked in the past. So we have experimented with how far back we can go with our technologies before we decide like, oh, actually no, this app needs to be completely separate for this TV, which means it's going to be extra cost. So
yes,
we try and, based on our experience, we give them the range that works the most so they can get targeted across multiple devices. Because, of course, the clients are mainly interested in getting their app across on as many devices as possible to get as many subscriptions and stuff coming through, right? So, it's our experience that can help define how far back we go with devices.
So there's no, sorry to jump in there, just with like browsers, web browsers, we can pull Google Analytics and stuff like that to say, oh, we've got this number of users using this browser type, blah blah blah. Is there anything like that from a connected TV perspective that you can tap into as well?
Yeah, there is. There's actually quite a lot of the same integrations on mobiles for TVs as well. So it all depends on the application and the analytics tool that the clients are using. But it does give us an indication of how many people have said TV or device from what year and what model we should target. So as the years go forward, we do always keep an eye on, have people upgraded their TVs? Are they still on the old ones? And then the furthest we tend to go back, here's a bit of a little secret from inside, is around the 2018 sort of mark for Samsung televisions.
So you're not looking after my TV, is what you're saying, because my TV was from like, I don't know, 2014. I don't know. I can't quite remember when it was. It might even be earlier than that. The one that my daughter's using, not my actual TV now, not the main TV. But
no, we probably wouldn't go back that far. Surprisingly, you say this actually, because if you think about 4K content, which is still the most popular sort of content around here. 1080p and 4K, that's been around since like 2013, 14, I believe. And, it's still being adopted. Yes, there was some talks around 8K content, or 8K TV, sorry, but 8K content doesn't really exist, and it's probably because of bandwidth and stuff, right? We can't be we can't use that. And people are happy with 4K. So
I mean, how clear do you need a picture, right? If your eyesight's that bad, go and buy a pair of glasses. That's what I say. But then I think that there's when they were with the talk around 8K, obviously the jump from 1080p to 4K, there's quite a significant you can see the difference. But I think what people were saying, and I could be completely wrong about this, but from 4K to 8K, from the human eye, you can't really see as much of a difference anyway. I don't think it's what I've read and what I've heard. I mean, you guys are the experts; you'd know more. But I think that the bandwidth you'd need to stream 8K would be a big jump.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's it is hard to tell, like, just visually when you look at it, but our automation tools, they can tell for sure. And it might be nice to dive into how we got started with automation on
that'd be cool.
televisions, actually.
I'm guessing it's not like your standard approach, right? You can't just go and find an open source tool or buy something off the shelf that's going to do what you need to do. So I'm really interested in how you've kind of approached it.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, for sure. We did try using whatever is available. So your Cypress, your Seleniums, and those sort of tools. We did try it. It worked for certain apps, and again, it kind of goes back to dev architecture and how they've developed the apps. But we started using React for a lot of our television apps afterwards.
Okay.
And React with a framework called Lightning.js. So these are great tools for developing TV apps that are for more focused towards performance and optimization. And one of the ways it does this is that it doesn't render a DOM, like a HTML DOM.
Right. Okay.
So if you try and inspect the page, like with your dev tools, nothing shows up, and it's a bit of a strange place to be, because all these tools like Selenium and stuff, they look for selectors and XPaths and classes, so it can reference elements. But if that doesn't exist, how do we set that up for automation? In I think it was in 2022, I believe, or and near the start of 2022, we ran a hackathon at FX Digital, which is very interesting. It was a 2-day event, devs, QAs. We were collaborating to figure out how we can do automation on a device that doesn't have a DOM. And in the end, we came up with a solution that was more visual based. So it's like using images and doing image comparisons. And then back then, we were using a couple of open source tools to do this. So it wasn't just images. We were also trying to use OCR, which is optical character recognition. So we can try and read text from screenshots as well.
Oh, okay.
And it's been a very interesting journey to try and get it all working. But we had a prototype after the initial hackathon, and we were like, right, how can we expand this now? And we were trying all sorts of like algorithms to see what's the best way to do an image comparison. The other thing we had to consider was the end result from a device. So a set-top box or a Fire TV, the screenshot there won't be the same as the ones we're referencing from our beautiful Figma or Miro designs or whatever we're using, right?
Yeah.
So the designs would be in like the highest of qualities, but the actual render would probably be in like 720p, like it's not even full HD. So yes, there might be pixelations, and we need to cater for that leeway as well. So we're trying to find a sweet spot as to what would work for our automation. And then after months and months of research, the QE team did figure out a sweet threshold that gives us realistic results, but it does tell us if something is completely off. And the great thing about visual based automation as well is that it can do things like compare colors as well. So we are referencing designs, and we're trying to incorporate things like text recognition as well. And that's one of the future things we're looking into, and we'll talk about it a bit later when it comes to like AI and stuff. But yeah, we've been looking at quite a few different things to expand on the automation, but that was the starting ground. And since then it's expanded.
That's. I mean, I'm a massive fan of a good old hackathon anyway. To get the clever people in a room for a couple of days, and the outcome is always something special. That's how I look at it. You just give them the space and the time they need, and clever people come up with some great ideas. So it's really great to hear that sort of like was sort of the springboard to where you are now. Just want to expand on it a little bit, where when you're talking about visual recognition, comparisons and stuff like that. Where does accessibility come in to the testing that you have to do, and is some of that automated, or because obviously there's tools out there that help you generally with accessibility? Are you able to use those types of tools, or have you had to approach that in a slightly different way as well?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we have had to try and keep it more of a manual effort when it comes to accessibility. But things like color recognition, thanks to the automation and it being visual based, yes, it can handle to make sure the right colors are displayed. And yeah, we with the automation, it is more UI focused. So yes, we can detect if subtitles are appearing or closed captions are currently appearing. We probably can't. Well, not yet, but maybe with AI, we can start recognizing the actual text that's in said subtitles should be appearing at said time. But yeah, we are able to detect a lot of this. Sometimes on playback, it has been a bit tricky though, and it depends on the device as well. So some devices, they have, our applications have DRM as well, so digital rights management, which means if you try and take a screenshot or a video recording from said device, it will just render a black screen or a white screen, basically to prevent you from piracy, basically.
Yes.
So our approach has been quite interesting for that as well. Those situations where we want to test, something is playing back, but all we're seeing is a black screen. Sometimes we're looking for the UI, like the player elements, make sure that is displayed, we're on the right page. But in more recent cases, we have been researching and looking into a camera mounted, pointing at a television. But this kind of falls into something I wanted to talk about as well, about office space as well. In order to capture a television, television's getting bigger, right? Like it's really hard to find a 24-inch or a 32-inch TV that has the same capabilities as one of your 55 inches. And yeah, it's just like they just keep getting bigger. I haven't seen a 40-inch TV in a while. We're just used to big screens.
My one's 65-inch, and I'm sort of, do I need a 75? I don't know. I mean, what's cheaper, getting a better pair of glasses or getting a bigger TV? I'm trying to weigh up the options, because glasses can cost you like 800 quid. I could get a bigger TV cheaper than that. What's going on,
man? That's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, with the TVs getting bigger, if we were to put a camera, we probably need to put the camera quite far away so we can capture all the TV. So the QE guys, they were researching how we can use a warped camera, like a bubble eye, a fisheye lens.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that way we can keep the TV and the camera quite close to each other. And yeah, they figured it out. Yes, the image looks warped, but they managed to figure out an algorithm to convert that warped image into a normal size 16:9 ratio image, and
Clever
the results are
people.
fantastic. Yeah,
Clever people.
yeah, and this is fantastic for the QA team now. Now we can start writing test cases to say, yes, playback is working. This is what you're expecting to see. So yeah, it's very unique, and yeah, I'm just fascinated by some of the research they're doing
Yeah,
constantly.
and this, I want us to talk about your device lab. All right, I
Yeah,
really want us to talk about your device lab because you talked about there about office space and stuff like that, and I don't know how many TVs you've got, right? But you've got your own device lab, haven't you? And anybody that's
we
watched
have.
watched the podcast with me and Eamon talk about it, I shared the screenshot that you had in your slide deck at the conference, and it looks really cool, right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it looks really cool. But I'm interested to know how that came about, and obviously what some of the challenges are that well, the benefits of having it, obviously, but then what are some of the challenges that you face with maintaining something like that as well?
Yeah, it's become a key focal point for FX Digital, and one of the reasons we moved office last year was so we can have a bigger space for devices. The one we were in was getting a bit cramped, and it was getting really warm as well. So this is another thing. Yes, a lot of the TVs, because they're getting bigger, they produce a lot more heat. So we needed to have a space that can cater for the space, firstly, and the temperature as well is very important. So yeah, we are in a space where we have TVs stacked side by side. Everything is wired up.
Hmm.
Uh, I think maybe one or two devices that are just don't have wire capability, like Ethernet capabilities. They are using wireless, but in most cases, yeah, everything's all wired up to big servers, and it's all running in that server room. And it's become a focal attraction for clients. Actually, anytime a client walks in, Matt is the first one to be like, "Yeah, come and check out our device lab. This is what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Check out all our test cases. They're just doing their thing. They're running,
That's awesome.
and it's great. It's great to see it. Um, but yeah, it has meant we have spent quite a lot on aircon, fans, just to push air around. Get that hot air out of the room. And yeah, it's again, it's been quite challenging. We have like a lot of lessons we've learned from previous experiences. So we've now got temperature controls in there that ping us through Slack as well. So should temperatures be spiking up, yeah, we get an alert. And yeah, a lot of these TVs, honestly, the way we're running it, they're just not designed for that. They're not designed to be on all the time, right? So
Mm.
something the QEs recently did was added smart sockets to the plugs. And these plugs, I've never even heard of these, but they just researched it, they found it. They have Ethernet capabilities as well, these
Oh
smart
wow.
sockets. So
Okay.
through our CI/CD pipelines, we can like trigger whether we want to restart a device or turn it off if it's no longer in use. Yeah, and I think
That's
that is fantastic. That's like the next level, in
yeah.
my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
think like things like CO2 emissions and how can you be more sustainable, that plays into, and I think this is something that I mentioned in the podcast with Eamon. I'm really interested to see what's happening in your space for that, because it's something that I've been looking at, just generally more about how we become more sustainable from a testing perspective. But when you've got such a big device lab that is generating so much heat, how do you create a much more CO2 friendly experience? Let's put it that way. And obviously, I'm guessing the smart sockets are a way of doing that, a step towards doing that.
yeah, that is definitely one of the implementation. I guess that was one of the reasons why they did
Mm.
it as well. So we're just not burning energy unnecessarily. So yeah, I think that's been one of the approaches. We are looking to do an audit as
Hmm.
well and try and measure how much energy we're using and try and put a pledge in that we want to reduce this by X amount
Mm.
in the next X amount of years. I think it's a thing from the government actually. So it's a company thing, right? So your company states how much what is your CO2
Yes.
footprint, your carbon footprint, and then you make a pledge to get that reduced. So yeah, we are in the process of auditing that at the moment, and yeah, I'm really interested in the results myself. Actually, what will it be, and what we can do to change things going forward? And again, I think the QE guys, they're going to be fantastic. It's going to be a challenge for them to have a think about these ergonomics as well. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So I mean, I just need to know, how do I get a tour of the device lab? Because do I need to buy a ticket? Do I
Yeah.
need to, is it one of those? Is it a sort of a show and tell thing? How do I get a tour?
But fantastic question. We are doing a couple of innovations actually. So
Okay.
I mean, firstly, you can come to the office. We're
Yeah,
on Old Street in in London.
that's where I used to
Um,
be, at Cafe One.
amazing, amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, just come back here.
yeah,
I'll show you around. But the other thing we have recently set up is a virtual tour of our device lab. Yeah, and we are showcasing it at IBC, which is a big conference in Amsterdam.
nice.
So you put on a Apple VR headset, and you can be in our device lab and have a little walk around. That's the idea. We will probably. I'm not 100% sure if we will yet, but most likely we'll get some videos out there of what that tour looks like. I know there was a lot of websites that used to do it before, like a 360 tour. I guess people like when you're buying a flat or a house, right? You get to
Yes.
do a virtual tour. So we might
Yeah.
try and do something like that in the future, hopefully. That might give you a glimpse as to what's going on in the device lab. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm such a geek. I love that sort of thing, right? I just love tech and just, yeah. I need to see it. I need to see it.
Yeah.
You should sell
Yeah.
tickets, though. I told you, it's like another money making thing. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Sell
that's a
tickets.
fantastic idea, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, seeing it all in action. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. The QE guys, they're also looking at a new sort of feature where they want to share devices between projects. So normally we were buying one TV, and we're saying, right, this is for this project only. Like,
Right.
we know the client wants this, so we're going to run all our tests here. But now we're finding that clients do want to target the same devices. So instead of having multiple of the same, they're trying to look into a queuing system. So again, hopefully this will reduce the energy and the carbon footprint
Yes.
just by sharing the same device. So like it can detect when a test case is running on said device and be able to like queue up, you can say, essentially the next test case, and be like, right, when this finishes, then we can either power it off or we run the next test case, or so yeah, a lot of automation on it's a different way to automate in my opinion. Yeah.
How do you measure performance? So app performance and that kind of thing. Have you had to build something to enable you to do that, or again, have you been able to grab something off the shelf that helps?
Yeah. Well, no, not off the shelf. I'm afraid.
No.
No, we have had to build it. Yeah. We are still using a lot of manual efforts when it comes to performance. To be honest, so we want to make sure that user experience is not affected.
Yes.
But yeah, we have noticed some performance stuff through our automation. So if a page is taking a while to load, or your focus is not in the right place after you press a key press, the automation has been able to detect this. And again, QAs have been using these tools to help it flag it to us as to what's going on in the bigger picture. Yeah, the automation does help, but it is mainly a manual effort around performance and that
It's a
usability.
visual, right? It's everything's a visual interaction with a TV, so it's a bit like, I think it's fascinating, man. I'm fascinated. What's next? What's next for FX Digital? What's next for your world? I mean, we touched on, we talked about the 2-letter acronym, right? The AI piece, but generally, what does the future look like? With AI, without AI, what are the sort of things that are big on your radars at the moment?
Yeah, great question. I mean, AI is everywhere. On purpose, I did not mention AI in my presentation at the National Software Testing
You're one of the
Conference.
only ones that didn't.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, everybody's talking about this, and yeah, they have every right to. It's a fantastic piece of tool, right? Like I think it's fascinating. But yeah, with stuff, what's happening next? I mean, I would just like to see that continued collab between QA and QE, and I think what I'm hoping is that others can adopt a similar structure to like how we have, and understand the benefits of having, this like QE team, which I kind of refer to as a R&D department. You can say they are very very clued on with things, and they help with the bigger picture. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working with QE closely on automating more complex features. So understanding playback, understanding what's on screen at said time, and we have started incorporating AI into our framework as well to do this.
Yeah.
I mentioned we were using OCR before, an optical character recognition. There are various different ones out there. We were using a specific one that's been trained up by captures. So, every time you go to a website and it says, oh, enter this, whatever word it is, and every time you're typing that in, you were training up an AI, basically.
Right.
And we were using that AI in the past to read text on a screenshot. But the problem was it was always like mistaking similar characters. So the one I always struggled with was the number 7 and a capital T. It would always get it wrong, or a capital I,
yeah,
or a lowercase L. It would always think they were the same thing.
Yeah.
But with AI, it's definitely in the right direction. Like, it can read the stuff much more clearly. I guess there's more context to it. It's not looking at individual characters. It's looking at what the word is trying to say, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, AI's been great in that sense so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else we can do with that going forward. Yeah, I'm really interested in, like you mentioned, about performance as well. How can we capture, let's say, thousands of users tuning into a live stream? How do we test that? How can we test that from a connected TV perspective? I've been in that situation. I think it was something on Netflix. It was a big fight, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I stayed awake for it. I really wish I didn't, because at 4 a.m. it was like only the audio was coming through and the picture was frozen, and I'm like trying to back out, but every time I back out, I'm going back in, must be a queue or something. So how can we simulate that sort of environment again on a real device? Because if we use a simulator, it will use resources from elsewhere, like your computer or your MacBook, and yeah, we're just not getting realistic results. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can do performance testing going forward, simulating multiple users, things like accessibility you mentioned as well, text to speech. How can we capture audio from a device in a device lab with loads of TVs, right?
Yes.
And then sort of filter out that this is the correct audio that should be playing. Should you focus on a certain card or a rail or a button in the player? So lots of features we have requested to the Kiwi team, but it's going to take some time to research and find the right tools and the hardware to make it happen. But that's, again, one of our unique challenges that makes us a niche, that makes us quite unique.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And if you need to experiment with that streaming thing, what we can do is we can pump a live edition of the podcast out there, and we can get thousands upon thousands of people to. I mean, it'll put our numbers up. That'd be amazing. But it'll also help you, right? I mean, so yeah, we can collab. That'd be awesome. Absolutely.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, yeah.
You might not get the same level of streaming numbers that you need, but it's a start. It's a start.
Fantastic. We are also thinking about what's next, right? Like, yes, podcasts are a big thing, and a lot of people do stream podcasts in different platforms as well.
Yes, they do.
You're on YouTube, you're on audio apps as well, right? But sometimes audio apps are also being played on a TV. So yeah, we are trying to think about what's next. What is the future going to hold? We were looking to see if VR with the Apple Vision was actually going to kick off or not.
Mm.
I don't know if it is, but there are Meta Quests and other things, and there's even talks about glasses as well, augmented reality glasses, in-car tablets, right? That's a big thing. So yeah, we are trying to dip our toes into whatever waters we can. Again, it's all part of the connected TV experience. So yeah,
It's
exciting
cool.
times.
It's really cool. I think that's why I really wanted to get you on, Arif, and have a chat about it, because I think it feels like what FX Digital have done so far is really cool, but there's so much more that potentially is out there to do. I mean, tech moves so quickly anyway, right? But one thing that I just wanted to touch on before we close out is we talked about plug-in devices, right? And actually, like you mentioned about the Fire Stick being a really good device, but there's others out there as well. So how do you are there certain types of plug-in devices that you support, or is it client based, or does that throw up different challenges, or is it sort of just similar
Yeah,
sort of things?
yeah, it is. It is very similar to the whole TV situation we were talking about with Samsungs and LGs and stuff. Yeah, so each of these um, sticks, we call them streaming sticks, they
Yep.
have their own operating systems.
Yeah.
Some of the popular ones are Fire TV, Chromecast is very popular now.
Yeah.
Roku is really, really big, especially around Europe and US. But yeah, there are a whole plethora of weird and wonderful devices out in the world, especially in the US as well. There's different manufacturers. But a lot of these, like Fire TV and Chromecast, are Android based. Which I'm a big fan of. And yeah, but we do have our unique ones like Apple TV. Apple TV is tvOS. It's its own thing. So yeah, similar situation. We treat them like any other connected TV device, to be honest. And that's how they are manufactured, to be honest. They're not any different from another TV, basically, with the same sort of operating system. So an Android TV and an Android stick has the same sort of core features. Yeah.
All you're doing is plugging it in to actually display the content versus it actually being anything different under the hood, I guess. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I mean, something we do with a lot of these streaming sticks is to connect them to a capture card as well. So it does make it easier to get a screenshot from a capture card from a TV directly. So an app on a television, that's been quite challenging to get working, but we did figure it out, and I can't say how. But yes, we did figure it out for TVs. Yeah,
nice.
I think a lot of people do ask us. We've been involved with BBC Tech meetups as well, and I think that was one of the main questions. Like, how did you get a screenshot from a Samsung? Like, it doesn't have a HDMI out, right? And yeah, we were like, so
can't let you know all our secrets. No, exactly.
Exactly.
Keep that one hidden, mate. Keep that one hidden. So yeah, I mean, we've been talking for over an hour. I mean, it's like we could keep going. I know we could keep going, but we're going to have to wrap this up, Arif. Before we do, though, I just want to leave you with sort of one final thought. Anything else you want to share with people? Maybe something you haven't covered off that you'd like to just share in the final moment.
I think we have covered quite a bit. Actually, we could, like you said, we could keep talking. But yeah, I guess what I'm hoping people that are listening do realize is some of the unique challenges that we have in this niche. And sometimes the solution is just not out there, and we have to make our own solutions. And I think that's what life is about, right? Let's take it back a bit.
Let's get deep.
Like there is, there's not a one solution that fits everything, right? So sometimes you do need to adapt and make the most of what you have. And I think that's what we're trying to do in this space. We know it's there's not much out there in terms of documentation. We've, like I mentioned, we were reverse engineering things just to get to the bottom of it. And yeah, sometimes it's those little changes that drive innovation. And then we are doing it all with quality in mind. And I think that's the important thing. Yeah,
I think that's great. I think that's great. So anybody and everybody out there that's got a TV, just think of the challenges these guys go through on a daily basis to bring you the best possible user experience on your TV. You got Arif and his team to thank for that. So thank you, Arif, for making my viewing experience the best possible. And I'm sure my daughter will thank you heavily as well, because she likes her Fire Stick.
Amazing. Yeah.
So we're going to have to wrap this up, Arif. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining the show. Some really great insights. I've learned a lot today, and we'll keep talking behind the scenes anyway. So yeah, and I look forward to whether it be a physical tour or a virtual tour of that device lab. I really look forward to it, because like I say, I'm just a geek when it comes to tech. But that's it, everybody. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I hope you learned some new stuff. As I say, it's not sort of a topic in an area that we talk a lot about in our industry. So it's been really great to have Arif on and delve into the world of FX Digital and the great work that they're doing and how they've set themselves up from a quality perspective. So thank you again, Arif, for joining. Thank you to the FX Digital team for supporting as well. And yeah, we really hope you enjoy it. And yeah, join us next time on another episode of Quality Talks podcast. Take care for now.